So till now we have made amazing sliders, but this one is a bit special because in this one you can actually connect two different sliders to each other. Now even though I'm showing this design, you can actually make amazing designs with this, not just this one, simply because it allows you to create two different sliders and connect them to each other, which means that you could customize it however you want and wherever you want. For example, one of the design is this one where you could add any text in here and you could see whatever you want and you could just simply customize it and it will be connected, or something like this where just showing two images and then it basically changes. Now I'm not going to show how to do the text changes and all because in the first video that I created, basically if you check the first post and the first video, you would actually understand how to customize it even better. This is a big video. You can see that it's around 1 hour video, 1 hour big video. And again, you don't need to watch full, but basically this goes in much more detail on how to customize stuff and every single detail. So I wanted to make this video a bit detailed because then in the other videos in this pack, I don't have to explain it in that much detail in every single, slider type. So again, watch this if you want to learn a bit more in detail, but if you just want to do some basic stuff like this thumb sliders and all, I'll explain how to do it in this video. And after that, you could actually check this first video too if you want to go in much more detail to doing customization and animation and all that stuff. Now another thing, I will be providing a free template that you could just download from my website. It has all the 10 or 9 I think Elementor templates for the sliders, which you could get for free, and all the codes are in here. And at the end, I will be creating a video called how to use this template. If you have watched any other videos that I've made for sliders before this one, then you would know that what we need to do. It's the same steps, but a little bit different for now. So right now I'm going to create a container and I'm going to be a bit faster because other videos I have made it in much more detail, especially the first one. So the first, I'm going to call it as, let's call it like main swiper. If you go into the code page, you could see in this code page, you will find the layout that I have used to make it. Okay. So this is going to be called main swiper. If you watch other video, you would know what to do next, which is to add a swiper wrapper. Make sure these are all full width. Okay. We cannot use without full width. And inside of this, obviously we would add our slides. So let's add our slides and let's duplicate it. Okay, now our main swiper and the slide swiper wrapper has some space in here. You could see we don't want that, so in our main swiper we'll give 0 padding, so there's no space. And now in our swiper wrapper, you could see that slides and this has space. So if I add some color to the slide, and I'm just going to delete the next one so that I can duplicate it quicker. You could see these are the 3 slides. Okay, so in the swiper wrapper and this one we also have space, so we'll do 0. And we don't want any gap in between, so let's do 0 gap. Now we want it to go left to right, so we'll do left to right and make sure no wrap is enabled for all 3 devices. Now if you watch the previous video, you would know that this much is enough for just creating a basic slider like the first slider, but we want different ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here and do duplicate, and this one is going to be our thumbnails. So let's do thumb swiper. Let's call this as, I don't know, thumb swiper wrapper, just so that we know which one is which. And I'm just going to change the color for now. And let's duplicate it. Okay, so we got 3 slides and 3 thumbnails for now. So let's start doing one step at a time and then we will customize it to look better. Now one thing I forgot, that I actually want this arrows too. So if we go in here, we want this arrows too, right? And this pagination too. So in our main swiper, I'm going to add my icon, which is going to be my left arrow. I'm going to duplicate this. It is going to be my right arrow. And in my main swiper, I'm going to add another thing called pagination. So we will customize it later, but for now we are just adding all the elements and seeing if the code works properly or not. So first of all, let's go to the page, and if I go down, let's go down, we'll find all of this code. Okay, so let's copy this DM thumb swiper without the dot. Do not copy the dot. It's for the main container. Okay, so our main container, let's add this, and DM thumb to swiper, do not copy the dot. We will add to our thumb swiper. And we are doing nothing, but we are basically just creating two different carousels or swiper sliders, and we are basically going to connect it. If you watched the previous video, you would know that this is all we did for, like, this part is all we did for our previous sliders, and in this one I've just duplicated it once more so that we can connect it to each other. So again, we need to add more classes called wrapper class, slide class, next element, previous element, and pagination element. But where is the code, or where is the CSS class? Well, in the code, if you go in here, you would see I said that this is for thumbnail slider. So if you go down, you could see it is for thumbnail slider, like thumbnail to swiper. So here we will check for wrapper class. It's called DM thumb to swiper wrapper. Let's copy this and add it to our thumbnail wrapper, like the thumbnail part. So this is for the wrapper. DM thumb to swiper slide. These are going to be our slides, all three of them. Okay, next we will go to our next part, which is to our main slider, which is going to be the bigger slide. We will copy the wrapper class, which is DM thumb swiper wrapper, to this one. We'll copy the DM thumb swiper slide to all our slides. You could also do one thing, you could copy it here and then basically delete the next two, so that you could just duplicate this and all of them would have the CSS class. So quicker way. And then I also want pagination, so I'll copy DM thumb swiper next. We do not copy the dot, and I'll give it to the next icon. DM thumb swiper previous, we'll give it to the previous icon. DM thumb swiper pagination without the dot, okay, we'll give it to our pagination container. So we got some stuff ready around here, and what I'm going to do is, in my container, at the end of everything, I will just going to copy this code by pressing copy and paste it in here. Suddenly some stuff happens, so let's just do preview first and see if anything happens. I forgot to do one extra step, so let's fix that. That is to give our swiper wrapper some height. So let's say I'll give this one 300, and then let's give this one, let's say 100 or 150. Okay, sure. Let's do this and let's see if it works. And you could see it is working, kinda. It looks a bit weird because all of them is the same color. So let's do one thing. Let's go to our slide one and give each one of them some sort of color or design. You could basically hide to see the next ones. So for example, I want to edit, let's say in this one, I can basically hide this too, and it will give me the option to edit. I'm just going to add images for all of them, okay? Now one more thing, you need to match the same design. So for example, my slide 1, I've given this image. For slide 2, I gave this image. For slide 3, I gave this image. So obviously in these slides, you will also give the same images. Now this is what I've done. I've matched this slide and this slide image, this slide and this slide image, this slide and this slide image. You don't need to do this. Maybe you want to create testimonial or something which has like carousel connection. For example, you want to have, let's say, some text in here. For example, if you just add a text in here, there would be the text available, which you could basically color it whatever you want. You could have the name of the company and all, or whatever you want, okay, basically. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go into my main swiper and basically give it overflow hidden, so that anything outside this container gets hidden, okay. And same with our thumb swiper, I'll go in here and then basically give it overflow hidden, so that anything outside just gets hidden. So let's do publish, and you can see this is how it's looking. If I click in here, it basically changes to that slide. If I do this, it basically keeps changing. It is looped perfectly. And select this. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to make this pagination be left to right, because our pagination is going, you can see, up to down like this. So if you do left to right, it will basically be left to right. And instead of creating it inside of main swiper like this, I can create it outside in a completely different container. But if you want it to be, let's say, around here, then you need to put it in here and then give it position absolute like this. Give, let's say, 50% from top and then go into, let's say, transform, go to offset, and you do -50. This is how you place it in center with position absolute, and you need to do for everything, else it would basically just not be in center. You could see it's now in center because I hid this, but if you give all of them position absolute, it will be visible around here, and then basically just play around with the values. But for now I'm going to keep it outside. This, I was just showing you guys how to do that. But in my container, I'm going to do is I'm going to create another container, place it, I guess, at the bottom maybe, and then I'm going to add all my icons and all in there. This is personal choice. This is completely dependent on the design too. Okay, so what type of design you want. So you could see in this container I have icon pagination, and I simply need to select this and make it go left to right, make it be in center like this, and it will be like this. And now if I do publish, you could see I can click around here and it will basically do this. I don't like how the slides are looking around here, so I'm just going to remove the images and basically keep the colors. I think it looks ugly right now. I don't have a good images to show you guys for it. So for now, let's just keep it like this. Okay. Now here's an important thing. I'm also going to show you that if I duplicate this slide in the main swiper, let's say 4 times or 5 times, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, let's do 7, and then I'll also have to duplicate then this slides too. So 3 5 6 7, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, there we go. And you could see that it actually moves smoothly. I'll show what I've done to make it that way, and you could see that I can actually change. All of them colors are given same, so it's actually because I duplicated, right? So it's not looking proper, but I'm not going to do for each slides right now because I want to show the customization more, because right now the slider works properly. So in the thumb slider, which is this one, you could see I've marked it with double slash so that we know which one is which. In here we can basically control the direction. So is it going from left to right like this thumbnails? So you could obviously make it vertical too. I've already created like the first video where I've shown how to do custom base slider and then also vertical slider. That would give you much more idea on how to customize it. Loop is set to false, so I have set it that it does not loop, you could see, but obviously you could set it to loop and all. Grab cursor is basically my mouse turning to this grab icon. It would look proper in your screen, don't worry, it's just this mouse is weird that I'm using for videos. Mouse wheel is set to false. Basically you would be able to scroll this with mouse wheel, but not just that, it will also change the slides, so that's something you should know. Then free mode is set to true. Basically you could see that if I do slide, it basically glides right this. Okay, again in the first video I go in much more detail, so please watch that. It's a 1 hour video, I know, but it's if you want to customize or learn more, it is important. Then this is the breakpoints, and this is basically how many slides should be visible around here. And you could see that right now it is 1 2 3 4 slides, and all of them I've set to 4. But this is basically how many you want to show on mobile, how many you want to show on tablets, and how many you want to show on desktop. And this is space between, so basically space between each thumbnails. So again, for the mobile you could change this stuff to whatever you want. There's obviously space slides. There's obviously something called slides per view auto, which again in the first video it would be like much more easy to understand, else this video is going to be like way too huge. Then we got the main slider, basically the same stuff you could see, but I've set the free mode to be false. And here we basically tell that this one swiper should be thumbnail or thumb swiper 2. So if you go up, you would say that I've written around here called thumb swiper 2, constant thumb swiper 2. So all of these properties, like all of these properties are actually stored in, let's say, this one. And in here we basically tell that our thumbnails is in this swiper called thumb swiper 2. So this way you can actually customize or connect two slides very easily. And the thing is, it actually works for every other one that I've made. So you know that in this video we created like so many slides, like the vertical slides and like all of these crazy slides that we made, all of them can be connected to each other. And that is the crazy part about these thumbnail slides. Then we got navigation. Obviously this is next and previous, so I'm not going in much detail. This one is set to space between 0. Again, this is same thing, but because we are only showing one slide at a time, that's why I've set the space between 0. But if you want, you could change it to whatever you want. The type fraction basically is for this pagination, but I'll show how to convert it into dot. Then in here I've set the DM thumb swiper pagination max width to be 10%. If you change this to something called fit content, what this would do is it will make it automatically be the size of whatever the inside element is. But again, you could change this to 50%, 20% of whatever you want for this slide, okay, this thumbnail, this container size. Another thing, you might be seeing that our active slide is fully visible, whereas our other slides have opacity. Now the way it controls is at the end, where it says that DM swiper slide. So by default we are making it have opacity of 0.5, and I've also given border radius 10. So you can see each one of them has a curve radius. So if you don't want that, just remove this. But by default I've said that everyone should be 0.5. But in here, if this one, like if this slide, you could say it's the same CSS class. If this slide also has this CSS class called active, you could say DM swiper slide thumb active, then make it opacity 1. And what it does is that only the active one has opacity 1. So you can obviously do like scale or like translate or anything that you want, like make it go up and down or whatever you want, okay, for the active one. Just like basic CSS for this one. Now let's quickly turn this pagination into dots. So we do this by removing this type fraction, and as soon as we remove it, we also need to add some more stuff, and I've explained this so many times, so I'm going to be a bit faster. In the custom base slider, which is the first video that I created, you have to go down in this code and copy this part, bullet class, this one, okay, and I'm going to paste it in here. This is comma, okay. And what we are basically saying that wherever there's these bullets, let's go up and see, wherever there are these bullets, give it the class DM base bullet, and whichever is the active one, which is like this active one, give it the CSS class DM base bullet active. Once we do that, it allows us to customize it via our own CSS class or CSS code, which is available around here for bullet pagination. Copy this much, go down in our styles where it's closes, just paste it, and we get our DM base bullet and DM base bullet with active with opacity 1. So if I copy this and then basically just paste it in here, let's do preview. You can see now it basically allows us to change it with dots too, and automatically changes based on which active one we are on. You could see, obviously you could add anything in here, and to customize it, basically you could see that we have given width and height of 8 pixels, but I've also given aspect ratio 1. Basically this would force it to be a square. If you don't want it to be a square, maybe rectangle or any other shape, just remove this and give your own width and height. Background is set to black. You could add your own color or hex code. Border radius is set to 100 pixels so that they are circle, but you could remove them to make any other shape. Cursor pointer basically turns it to like this hand icon. Opacity is set to 0.2. By default it is 0.2, but only on the active one we have set the opacity 1. So obviously you could copy or change the color of for active differently. You could scale the active one only. Any CSS code that you add in here would only be applied to the active bullet, so you could customize it to your own liking, or use ChatGPT and basically tell it that, hey, do this and that for me, okay. And another thing, it doesn't have to be like this icons. You could actually make it look any other stuff like text or image or whatever you want. It doesn't have to be just this arrows, okay. You could make it whatever you want. Now I'm going to also do is I'm going to try making this thumb swiper be like smaller, like this. Let's say like 35%, and basically say that align yourself on the right side, and you could see how this looks. Now all you need to do is change the slides to be like 2 instead of 4, like this, so that they only show 2 of them. And then you could also place all of them on top of it and basically create your own custom design. One important thing, if you want this to also have this cursor pointer, basically you could select your this, what you call, like this navigation, go down in the styles, basically do dot, paste this, do dot, paste this, and do next, like this. Basically we are saying that for this CSS class and this CSS class, make sure you add a comma in between so that you don't have to type it twice, and just do cursor pointer, and basically it would allow you to do this pointer icon. Okay, and you could see this one basically allows us to create our own thumbnail slider. I know I don't go in much design detail when I'm making this type of videos, but I just show how to create the layout, and the design is completely like your choice. So yeah, thanks for watching. You could get the template from my website for free. Consider liking and supporting me by using the Elementor affiliate links, or buying Hostinger, which I've been using for like 2 or 3 years right now. And yeah, thanks for watching. Goodbye.